This winter marked the first for my grandson, Tyler, since he was born. The weather forecast reported a record-breaking cold snap for the day. I wonder if they're okay. The first thing that came to mind was my DIL, Emma and newborn Tyler. I hope they both haven't fallen ill from the cold. I was worried and sent Emma a message on my smartphone that night. Are you and your baby catching a cold? However, when I sent her a message twice and thrice, she doesn't reply or even read it. She's a serious person, so I hope she's not pushing herself too hard. After waiting another hour, I tried calling just in case, but the result was the same. This isn't like her at all. Without a second thought, I threw on a thick jacket and rushed out of my house, driving to the apartment complex where my son's family lived. No response when I rang the doorbell, and imagining Emma collapsed inside, I immediately called the building manager to unlock the door. Inside, it was dark, with only the faint glow of the streetlights seeping in. I groped along the wall, relying on memory to find the light switch. But no matter how many times I flipped it on and off, the lights wouldn't respond. What's going on here? My mind was about to explode with anxiety and frustration. I reluctantly used my smartphone's light to step inside. Emma, are you here? Maybe they were just out. Just as I was about to turn back, I thought I heard the faint cry of a baby from the bedroom. Emma, are you there? I immediately headed to the bedroom. Emma. There was Emma, shivering with cold, but desperately wrapping Tyler in a sheet to protect him. Are you okay? What's wrong with you? Shining the light, I was shocked to see Emma's pride and joy. Her long black hair was now chopped short, almost to a buzz cut. This is terrible. How could this happen? My name is Monica Davis, 61 years old. I've worked as a hairstylist for many years at a beauty salon that's also my home. Chatting leisurely with familiar customers during work is my greatest joy. My husband and I originally started the salon, but he passed away from cancer when he was young. It was not long after my son Max was born. Nevertheless, I pressed on, raising Max by myself. However, despite my efforts, Max wouldn't listen to me, starting to skip school in high school. When he did go, he caused trouble, and I was often called to apologize to his teachers. After graduating high school, Max didn't pursue further education and began hanging out in the city every day. Maybe it was his inferiority complex about not having a father, or perhaps my failure as a mother. Unsure of the answer, I always worried about Max's future. So, when Max suddenly said one day, "I want to be a hairstylist," I was so surprised I pinched my cheek, thinking I was dreaming. What made you think so? Well, hairstylists get all the ladies, right? Max replied with a smirk. Looks like you do end up following in your parents' footsteps. Regardless of the reason, I took it positively that my son showed motivation for his future for the first time. Max smoothly graduated from beauty school and started working as an apprentice in a senior's salon. That's where he met his future wife, Emma, who was also working there. After a relentless pursuit, Max confidently told me, "I've decided to marry her," when introducing Emma to me.
Nice to meet you. My name's Emma. I've heard you are also a hairstylist. I'm looking forward to learning from you.
Emma was a charming woman with a bright smile, and her long black hair suited her well. "Nice to meet you, too." The moment I saw Emma, I liked her instantly. One day, a year after their marriage, Max started talking about wanting to open his own salon. Though he hadn't been an apprentice for long, Max seemed to have gained a lot of confidence as a hairstylist.
Since I've become a hairstylist, I want to open my own salon and prove my skills on my own.
To be honest, I was a bit anxious. With years of experience, I knew all too well that this industry isn't kind enough for a newbie to easily start their own business. Yet, I couldn't ignore Max's earnest desire as he spoke of his dream with such serious eyes. "How much do you have for startup funds?" When I asked, Max gave me the deposit amount with a sigh and a slightly troubled expression. Despite the steady income from his apprenticeship, he was spending just as much as he earned. With this pattern, there was no way he could afford to start his own business. Max had squandered most of his earnings on leisure activities. Perhaps I should have advised him to give up then. But I just smiled and said, "Don't worry about the money," indulging my son's whim. Maybe it was my way of making up for the loneliness of growing up without a father. Truth be told, I had never touched the life insurance money left by my late husband. It's for Max, after all. You would forgive me, right? Gazing at the portrait of my late husband, I spoke to him in my heart. A regular customer of mine, who was knowledgeable in real estate, gave me advice.
"That place would be perfect."
It was a barber shop until half a year ago, but the owner had retired due to old age. The location wasn't bad, and she strongly recommended it for Max's new venture. When it came time for renovations, other regulars said, "Use my husband, he just lazes around at home on his days off, and my son's studying architecture in college and is home for the summer break. He can help out as part of his studies." Thanks to everyone's help, the renovation went smoothly, and we successfully got the approval of the beauty salon, and the opening of the shop was quick.
I never thought I could start my own business so quickly.
Remember to be grateful to everyone. You couldn't have done it alone.
I know, Mom. I'm grateful to you.
Then I gave Max a rest of my husband's inheritance. The purchase and renovation costs ended up being much cheaper than expected, so there was more than half of the inheritance left. This is a gift from your dad to you. Use it wisely for the business expenses and don't waste it.
Yay, I know. I'm not a kid anymore.
Max replied with a forced laugh.
Don't worry, Monica. I'll keep a close eye on Max to make sure he doesn't spend it on anything strange.
Emma said with a cheerful smile, making me laugh involuntarily. With Emma, a reliable person, helping out, I didn't need to worry about Max anymore. I optimistically decided to watch over their business from a distance. However, I soon realized my optimism was misplaced. Emma would sometimes visit my salon after work to update me, and each time, her expression grew darker. 3 months after Max's salon opened.
Max is not putting his heart into his work, and it's becoming a problem.
What, Max? Why?
He was all excited at the beginning. With my skills, the salon will surely thrive, he said enthusiastically. But after a month, his smile vanished, and he started treating customers coldly. As this continued for 3 months, the salon's reputation worsened through word of mouth, and eventually, customers stopped coming.
Hearing Emma's report, I was in disbelief. Max had expressed a desire to own his own shop. Despite his eagerness before the opening, what could have possibly happened in such a short period?
It seems Max thought that being skilled as a hairstylist was enough and underestimated the importance of customer service. But running a shop is not that simple.
Emma sighed as she said that. Indeed, as Emma pointed out, running a salon isn't as simple as being skilled as a hairstylist. In customer service, the way you treat your clients significantly impacts the business's success or failure. It seems like Max is missing that basic understanding. So, how is Max doing?
He seems to be getting more frustrated because we're not getting customers, spending his days drinking. This way, he can't focus on his work, and we're only driving customers further away. For now, I handle the customers when they come in, but if the salon's reputation continues to drop, managing it will get even tougher.
Emma looked like she was about to cry, and I felt the same way. Okay, I'll talk to him next time.
Thank you.
Emma deeply bowed her head, then brushed back her long black hair. Emma, your hair always mesmerizes me. I changed the subject to lighten the somber mood. I have kept my long hair since I was in middle school, Emma said proudly. Since then, is there a special reason?
Do you know about hair donation?
Emma looked at me earnestly. Hair donation. I remember hearing about it at a hairstylist meeting, but I don't know much about it. Emma's eyes lit up as she answered.
It's about making wigs with real hair for children who've lost theirs due to congenital conditions, illness, or accidents. I aim to grow my hair and donate to organizations involved in this activity. Isn't it wonderful to be able to help someone? I once read a magazine feature about an actress who was growing her hair for hair donation, thinking maybe I could do that too.
Wow, Emma, you're so young and yet so admirable. I was overwhelmed by Emma's passion, which also deeply moved me. 6 months after marrying Max, Emma got pregnant. She has always been earnest, and she tends to overdo things if I'm not watching. Emma, this is the most crucial time. You mustn't overdo it. I repeatedly warned her, to the point of sounding like a broken record. Each time, Emma would lightly laugh and say, "Don't worry, I'll consult with the baby in my belly and make sure not to overexert myself." But to anyone looking, it didn't seem like she was resting at all. Ultimately, Emma kept working in the salon to support the household until she was nearly due, but Max's behavior had worsened more than ever before. What is he thinking? Every time I received an update from Emma, I felt my inadequacies as a mother. One day, after finishing work early, I went to check on my son and daughter-in-law's salon, just as Max was heading out. "Where are you going?"
I am going out to drink. It's not like we're getting any customers today.
Without any sign of panic, Max laughed off his situation as if it were a joke. The lack of customers had become the norm for Max, and he no longer showed any effort to improve the situation. "You're going to be a father soon." Even when I tried to admonish him, Max dismissively waved his hand as if shooing away a fly and hopped on his motorcycle. "We're not done talking. Try to put yourself in Emma's shoes for once."
Yeah, I'll think about it if I feel like it.
With that, Max laughed and sped off on his motorcycle, ignoring my words. Inside the salon, Emma was cleaning the floor.
Today, we managed to get just one customer.
Emma said with a cheerful smile, though she looked too worn for a pregnant woman. "Are you eating properly? Make sure you're getting enough nutrients."
Don't worry, Monica.
"I'm not saying it for you. I'm saying it for the baby you're carrying." My tone was harsher than usual, but I felt it was necessary to scold her. Emma seemed to understand my true intention and tearfully said, "Thank you." At times like this, how can the father not be there to support her? I wanted to scream at Max, who wasn't there, from the bottom of my heart. Emma shared that the salon's business was far from thriving. "And Max has been out every night, spending money like water. I shouldn't have given him his father's inheritance." I regretted my decision, albeit too late. Despite her busy schedule, Emma never neglected her hair care. Gently stroking her belly, she said,
I want to teach the child I'm carrying the importance of being helpful to others.
I wanted to be a support for Emma. In place of my useless son, I decided to visit their apartment to help out with whatever Emma needed.
I'm always sorry to trouble you.
Don't worry about it. Just focus on the baby in your belly. It was my fault for the way I raised my son. Because of that, Emma was suffering. Perhaps this was my way of atoning, in my own small way. As summer ended, Emma went into labor earlier than expected and was rushed to the hospital. Even then, Max was unreachable, leaving us wondering where he might be wandering off to. I kept sending messages to Max, but no reply came, not even a read receipt. What is he doing at a time like this? Emma's parents had both passed away, leaving me as the only one who could be by her side. Don't worry, Emma, I'm here for you. To Emma, who was facing childbirth with all her might, I offered words of encouragement time and time again. After a long and difficult labor, the vigorous cries of the baby finally reached my ears. It's your baby. Well done, Emma. Tears welled up in my eyes, but Max, who should have been there, never showed up once. Winter came, marking the first for my grandson Tyler since his birth. The weather forecast reported a record-breaking cold snap. No wonder it was too cold to get out of bed. I wonder if they're okay. The first thing that came to mind was Emma and newborn Tyler. I hope they both haven't fallen ill from the cold. Worried, I sent Emmy a message on my smartphone that night. Are you and your baby catching a cold? However, when I sent her a message twice and thrice, she doesn't reply or even read it. I grew concerned that Emma might be too ill to respond. She's always been so responsible. I hope she's not overdoing it. After waiting another hour, I tried calling just to be sure, but the result was the same. This isn't good. Without a second thought, I put on a thick jacket and rushed out of my house, driving to the apartment complex where my son's family lived. Arriving at the apartment, I was shrouded in darkness. It's not uncommon for families to live overseas from the end of the year into the new year, but I hadn't heard anything about a trip from Emma and Max, and they shouldn't have the financial means for such a trip anyway. No response when I rang the doorbell, and imagining Emma collapsed inside, I immediately called the building manager to unlock the door.
I'll wait outside, so please let me know if you find anything.
I thanked the manager, stepping into the apartment. The place was dark, with only the faint glow of the street lights seeping in. I remembered there was a light switch right by the entrance. Relying on memory, I groped along the wall to find the switch. But no matter how many times I tried, the lights wouldn't respond. What's going on here? Overwhelmed with anxiety and irritation, I reluctantly used my smartphone's light to venture further inside. Emma, are you there? I called out in the living room, but there was no response. Maybe they were just out. Just as I was about to turn back, I thought I heard the faint sound of a baby from the bedroom. Emma, are you there? I immediately headed towards the bedroom, where I heard the noise. Emma. There was Emma, shivering from the cold, yet desperately wrapping newborn Tyler in a sheet to protect him. What happened? When I shone the light, I was shocked to find that Emma's long black hair, once her pride and joy, was now chopped off, leaving her almost bald. Her eyes were red and swollen from crying. This is terrible. How did this happen? I took off my jacket and draped it over Emma. It's okay now. You don't have to force yourself to talk if it's difficult, but can you tell me what happened? Emma began to speak slowly. After Tyler was born, Max continued his daily escapades unchanged. Eventually, unable to pay the electricity bill, Em reached her limit and finally scolded Max. She wished he would show more awareness as a father. Emma had hoped for that, but her feelings never reached Max. In a rage, Max began to cut Emma's hair with a pair of practice hairdressing scissors he happened to find nearby. Emma initially tried to resist and said, "Stop." But, worried that any further resistance might accidentally harm Tyler, she stopped resisting. Max laughed and said, "Now you can't show your face in public." I was speechless at my son's cruel actions. Why didn't you tell me it had come to this?
I'm sorry, Monica. I'm so sorry.
Emma started blaming herself again. No, Emma, it's not your fault. I'm not blaming you. The one at fault here is Max. You haven't done anything wrong. Emma must have thought she shouldn't worry me and decided not to tell me anything. I hugged Emma tightly as she sobbed. The cause of all this was my indulgence in raising Max to this point. My heart burned with anger at my own inadequacy and at my son, who could not understand the pain of others. Taking a deep breath, I called Max.
Mom, long time no see. What's up all of a sudden?
Just wanted to hear your voice after so long. How are things on your end? Are Emma and Tyler doing well?
Of course, everyone's doing great.
No one's answering at home. Where are you? After a pause, as if he was concocting an excuse, Max's voice halted.
Actually, we're in Hawaii, the three of us. We'll be back next week.
Oh, Hawaii, that sounds nice. Max confidently lied, thinking I was clueless. What was the point of all the care I had provided for Max? After losing my husband at a young age, I worked tirelessly as a hairstylist. All to make Max a respectable person. When Max wanted to become independent as a hairstylist, I didn't hesitate to fulfill his wish. Yet, Max squandered the inheritance left by his father on his pleasures, completely disregarding my feelings. Moreover, to treat his own wife and child with such cruelty was something I could never forgive. My hope for Max turned into disappointment.
What do you want for a souvenir? Look forward to it.
Anything's fine. So you're coming back next week? Yes, safely, then.
Hey, Mom, you sound concerned. Is something wrong, Mom?
Max seemed to be saying something more, but I hung up without bothering to listen. After thanking the apartment manager who was waiting outside, I decided to take Emma and Tyler back to my house. Then I made calls to every place I could think of. A week passed, and Max called my smartphone. He was in a good mood, saying he had just landed at the airport.
I'm back. I even bought souvenirs for you, Mom.
Max was trying to play the affectionate son now, but my heart wasn't fooled anymore. That's nice, I replied in a flat tone, but Max seemed not to notice anything was off. About an hour later, a taxi stopped in front of the apartment complex. Max, with distinct tan lines from sunglasses around his eyes, indicating a fun trip to Hawaii, began unloading a pile of luggage from the trunk. He took out his keys and headed towards what he thought was his home, expecting the door to open easily. He must have thought the door would open immediately once he inserted and turned the key. However, the key wouldn't fit into the lock, no matter how many times he tried.
What the hell is this? What's going on?
Max exclaimed in frustration. I approached him from behind and asked with a smile, "Was your trip to Hawaii enjoyable?" Though my heart was boiling with anger.
Mom, you're here.
Max seemed relieved to see me, misunderstanding my presence.
Listen, Mom, I just got back and tried to get into the house, but the key won't fit. It must be some kind of prank by Emma because I went on a trip alone. She's probably mad at me.
He wanted to play the victim, blaming everything on Emma. Leaving Emma, who just gave birth, and newborn Tyler behind. What were you doing?
I've told you 100 times. I was with my family in Hawaii.
Didn't you just say you went on the trip alone? I pointed out his contradiction, leaving Max speechless. How could you lie about going to Hawaii with your family? Emma was left without electricity, shivering in the cold, holding Tyler close to protect him. And to think you cut off Emma's long hair she cherished so much. Doesn't it hurt you as a human being?
I admit that was wrong, but right now, I want to get inside. It's freezing here.
Max showed no remorse, rubbing his arms exaggeratedly. The cold Emma and Tyler experienced wasn't anything like this. Plus, you no longer have a home here. I've already canceled the apartment lease. It's time you find your own place to live.
Cancelled. Why would you do something like that?
Max panicked, but the apartment lease was in my name. I decided to take Max to a nearby cafe to talk things over, as we couldn't keep standing outside. Max sipped his coffee silently, probably unable to taste anything. With a pale expression, Max's gaze shifted back and forth between my face and the coffee. Struggling with money to the point you couldn't even pay the electricity bill, and yet you went to Hawaii.
That was.
Max frowned, eventually starting to explain his selfish reasoning. Right after opening his shop, Max wanted to impress his friends and female clients he picked up at the store, so he spent his late husband's inheritance on leisure activities. Max knew that such spending would quickly deplete even a large inheritance. However, having acquired a taste for the power of money, Max continued to buy gifts for his friends and take them on trips, even going into debt after exhausting the inheritance. Quite generous for a failing business.
No worries, I'm a professional hairstylist. If I put in the effort, clients will come flooding in, and I'll be able to support my family.
Max confidently replied, but where his confidence came from was a mystery to me. As for your salon, it's already been sold. I sold all the equipment too. It's too late to try to get it back now. I shattered his baseless confidence.
That's a lie. Why would you do something like that?
Max slammed the table, his face turning red. Oh, you cared about the salon. I thought you had abandoned it since you left everything to Emma. Besides, I bought that building and land in my name. You have no right to complain now.
But I was gathering clients. I had a plan.
Max had the look of a child about to cry, one who couldn't get the toy he wanted. If you're so confident in your skills, you'll be able to start over from zero quickly. After coldly turning my back on my son, I left the coffee shop, leaving behind only the money for the coffee on the table. A month passed. Both Emma and I had been avoiding any contact with Max, but unpleasant rumors inevitably reached apparent ears. After being rejected by me, Max apparently turned to his friends, desperately asking for money. However, those who had gathered around Max were initially attracted by his wealth. Predictably, none of them were willing to help now that Max had lost his financial power. Furthermore, he got reported to the police for stalking the female clients he picked up in his salon. Although he got off with a stern warning from the police, Max, having realized his lack of genuine connections, completely vanished from our lives. By now, he's likely living alone, haunted by the harsh demands of creditors. All of this was the result of seeds Max had sown himself. My anger towards Max wasn't just about his reckless spending. Even more unforgivable was how he neglected Emma and Tyler, pushing them into a life of hardship. And then there was the fact that Max had selfishly chopped off the long hair that Emma had been growing and cherishing for years. That foolish act might have robbed unknown children, who had been eagerly awaiting Emma's hair, of a brighter future. As a hairstylist myself, Max's actions are inexcusable. It will take a long time for Max to truly understand the pain Emma endured. Emma herself wouldn't speak of her heartache, but it's clear she's not unscathed. She likely keeps her feelings to herself to avoid worrying me. Wanting to do something for her, I reached out through my connections in the beauty industry to have a wig made specifically for Emma. It won't make up for my son's actions, but please use this.
Thank you, Monica.
Emma said with a smile, but tears were rolling down her cheeks. Using my back pain as an excuse, I asked Emma to help out in my salon. She threw herself into the work, perhaps trying to forget her emotional pain.
Hello, Tyler.
The regular customer greeted, and Tyler, lying in his cradle, laughed out loud. Now, some customers come just to see Tyler. He's like a little mascot for the salon. Slowly regaining her physical and emotional strength, Emma has started taking steps toward officially divorcing Max.
Seeing Emma's smile makes us all feel like we've turned back the clock by 20 years.
One of the regulars said it in jest, but there's no denying that Emma and Tyler's presence has brightened up the shop. Drawn by Emma's cheerful atmosphere, many other mothers have become regulars. All right, let's make today a great day too. Come in. Good morning. The salon is filled with smiles again today. In a corner, Tyler is sleeping soundly, breathing softly and looking adorable.